Windows 8 and Windows 8.1 brought an entire new change to the operating system market. Windows 8 was released in October of 2012, and Windows 8.1 was released in October of 2013. Windows 8.1 was just a free update to Windows 8, not an upgrade. They brought an all-new user interface and they removed the traditional start button. With Windows Vista and Windows 7, you had about 6 operating systems in each. In Windows Vista, you had about 6 operating systems, so in Windows 7. But now, in Windows 8 and 8.1, you only have about 3. The first one is known as Windows 8, 8.1 Core, which is actually known just as Windows 8. Windows 8 Pro was actually the second version. The third version is Windows 8.1 Enterprise. Windows 8 Core was just a basic version for a home. Of course, it had both 32-bit and 64-bit versions. It also did integrate through your Microsoft account as you log into your computer and all your services are there. It also had an integrated antivirus and anti-malware called as Windows Defender. If you wanted to play audio CDs and DVDs, Windows Media Player was built in. Windows 8 or 8.1 Pro was actually the professional version of Windows 8, which was actually really similar to Windows 7 Professional and Ultimate. It had full support for BitLocker and EFS, which is called as the encrypted file system. It also had a full disk and file level encryption. It also had an ability to join a Windows domain. It also had support for IT management and also had support for group policy support, which has centralized management on Windows devices. Windows 8 and 8.1 Enterprise was only available to software assurance customers, that means large volume licenses. It also adds enterprise features such as App Locker, Windows To Go, which you could just boot through a USB drive. You had direct access and branch cache. Windows 8 opened a lot of capabilities for physical computing and for processors. One of them was called as the PAE, Physical Address Extension. And that means that 32-bit processors can use more than 4 gigabytes of physical memory. It also had another program called as NX, which is called as NX Processor Mid. It protects against malicious software. It also had SSE2, which is Streaming SIMD Extensions 2. It was a standard processor instruction set. It is used by third-party applications and drivers. Windows 8 8.1 hardware requirements. For processors, both 32-bit and 64-bit version needed a 1 GHz processor with support for PAE, NX, and SSE2, which were obviously, I just spoke about them in the previous presentation slide. For memory, it needs about 1 gigabyte of RAM, and for 64-bit version, you need a 2 gigabytes of RAM. 1 gigabyte of RAM is for 32-bit version, obviously. Free disk space, 32-bit version needs 16 gigabytes of free space, whereas the 64-bit version needs 20 gigabytes of space. For video, you need Microsoft DirectX 9 graphics device with WDDM driver, which is Windows Displayed Driver Model. Over here is a summary for Windows 8 8.1 editions. For a core edition, only Windows Media Player is available. Rest of the programs are not available. For Pro, 4 programs are available, which is Windows Media Player, EFS, BitLocker, and Domain Member. App Locker and Branch Cache are not available. For Enterprise, yes, all the things are compatible. It is just a fully featured operating system, and for maximum 32-bit RAM, which is random access memory, is 4 gigabytes, and for 64-bit version, it is 128 and 512 gigabytes.